As Justin Trudeau's tenure as Prime Minister comes to a close, how did the relationship between First Nations and Canada evolve under his leadership?
We thank Mr. Trudeau and his record number of investments into First Nations, more than any other prime minister in the history of this country when it comes to investments into, housing and infrastructure. And although those the gaps are that large and far apart, I certainly think he narrowed it a little bit.
The treaties between Canada and First Nations were signed in the spirit of sharing, but large gaps exist between many First Nations and other Canadians. The Trudeau government pledged $918 million over 5 years to address housing and infrastructure needs for Indigenous communities.
Justin Trudeau is probably one of the prime ministers that made significant changes for First Nations, in Canada.
147 long-term water boil advisories were removed since Trudeau was elected. 35 remain. In 2015, Trudeau promised to end all boil advisories by 2021.
For us, as First Nations, we've been here for thousands of years, so they cannot continue in their colonial ways to make it look like as if they're doing something without really doing anything.
Woodhouse Neepanak says it's now time to complete the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action, which could uplift all Canadians. In a landmark settlement, $23.3 billion was earmarked to compensate First Nations children and families that were removed or had essential services delayed or denied. But Woodhouse Neepanak says no amount of money will bring back their childhoods.
It shows them that they've been wronged, and may they, begin a healing path and finding the way forward after all the hurt that they've been through.
Now the question is, will the new Prime Minister continue the progress and advancements made in their relationship with First Nations?
There's just so much work, and the next Prime Minister or Prime Ministers need to make sure that they're on top of this issue, that they're well-versed, and that they listen to First Nations, not people in Ottawa, because I think it's so important that come to the communities, come and speak to our leadership, and we will help you.
National Chief Woodhouse Neepanak says the Assembly of First Nations will be meeting with Prime Minister Carney in the coming weeks. In Toronto, Beverly Andrews, City News.